We now call upon the Rebbe's Shliach in New Haven, Rabbi Hecht, to share with us and to show us on the screens in a few moments the Rebbetzins' interest and involvement together with the Rebbe in the matzav of the shluchim and the meistes, and how important every detail was to the Rebbetzin and to the Rebbe, Rabbi Hecht.
Chaim. So we've all heard over the past 31 years of the concern, the care, the love that the Rebbetzin had to Chassidim, to Mishpachas HaShluchim. And we see it, although her life was pretty much closed before that time, before this Talkust. As I said, the Rebbe opened it up for all of us. And some of us were privileged to be able to see and certainly be able to share with others the concern and this making sure that the Chassidim firstly would have all that they needed and that they should be matzliach in all their Avodas HaKodsh. And just recently looking through the Sefer Shluchim, and I saw the Akdasha, and sometimes you don't bother looking at the front page, you just flip through, and it's interesting, the Akdasha says, the Akdasha is to the Rebbetzin, it says, there was no end to what the Rebbetzin cared and worried and was concerned with all the inyanim of Afatzis Mayonis and all the things that the Rebbe put into place for Chassidim and Shluchim. The Rebbetzin was front and center for all of that. I'll just relate a story that I was privileged to be present at as a youngster. In the years Tafshin Chav Ches to Tafshin Lamed, a Moised Chinuch was being built, a Beis Chabad was being built in Orange, Connecticut. It took time, it was a whole process and the whole buying the property and setting up the building. It was one of the first moistes to be built from scratch in America, and clearly the Rebbe was very involved in every prat. Exactly where to purchase the property, and many hatzos were given in. The Rebbe chose which piece of property. The Rebbe oversaw the architectural plans. Reb Shalom Hecht once went into the Rebbe, as he was able to do at certain times, and he saw the Rebbe with his glasses looking at the architectural plans of the building that was being built. And the Rebbe said, about my father. A few months later, on Yud Kislev Tafshin Chav Ches, the Rebbe wrote a letter to her, and Yad Kochi was Meiseh Niskablu Ata, Umuvan Shenenesi, Shesoif Verin Hasogas Gresser. Afloi Kegerdel Habrachas Hamuzmanis Me Hashem Yisbarach. And every time, as a kid going over with my father, Kasha Bracha, the Rebbe writes that the technical plans, the architectural plans were just received. The Rebbe had gotten a whole copy, a whole set of the plans my father had sent. And the Rebbe writes, and it's understood that I was very happy. I had hana. I enjoyed. Shesoif, at the end of it all, the hasagas, your whole ability to think broadly are getting greater, but not which Hashem Yisbarach has already set for you. It was an unbelievable answer then, and as I said, our whole lives the whole house, all those meshach those years was only taken up with hayras and letters back and forth and minus. And many times we went to Kasher Bracha during those years, and the Rebbe would say to my father, "Bamir Shteitch and the Binyan." It was a major undertaking at the time, and the Rebbe appreciated the work and the midgefield, so to speak, in the avodah, and the pressure and the challenges that we're going through. And then something special happened. The week that the finished, and we were moving down into the new building. So a week of vacation, we had to move everything over. And we're in the front lobby. I was in the front lobby, and not everything was finished. Everyone's running around doing the last minute things and moving, make sure the classrooms were set. And the Rebbe's car pulls up, and the Rebbetzin and Rabbi Krinsky come out and start walking up the walkway to the school. And obviously, my parents were called, and the Rebbetzin was given a tour and walked around the whole first floor of the building. It took between 30 and 45 minutes. The Rebbetzin asked Pratim about different things in the classrooms. It was a state-of-the-art building at the time, 50 years ago. The Rebbetzin asked about the carpets. She remarked about the carpets in the building, the different colors of the paint used by in the classrooms, the airy windows, the expanse, the area around the building. And the Rebbetzin was mamish. You could see the interest and the enjoyment and the excitement that she had being able to see this and witness it and walk around. She didn't want to go upstairs or downstairs, but she went through the entire building on the first floor. It was a fascinating experience. I remember it as probably a 10-year-old at the time that I was. And months later, my father and mother were in Yechidus by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said with a big smile, "Ich hatte gute Gruß from Binyan." And you see, Pashat, how clearly the Rebbetzin must have gone back and told the Rebbe everything about it, how this was something the Rebbetzin felt that this was a major growth, and a major thing which happened, an event which was happening in Divrei Chabad in America in the late 60s, early 70s, which was something which was going to set the standard for continued growth and development. And that to her was so important. And it was a very moving experience, clearly. And I think we can all see from that, as I said, the fact that the Rebbetzin was involved. We didn't know the behind-the-scenes stories of how the Rebbetzin was involved with Inyanim, with Shluchim, but this clearly illustrates the way the Rebbe said with such a big smile, that clearly the Rebbetzin was involved and was able to give over to her, to the Rebbe, everything that she saw. On a personal note, after Chav Beis Shevat, after the Stalkus, so my wife and I took upon ourselves to make an album of pictures of children who were born during the first year. You can imagine it was before, in the internet days, there was no email, WhatsApp, those things didn't exist. You sent everything by snail mail, and you made phone calls if you had numbers of people and anash all over the world to please send in pictures. Not an easy feat for people to actually take the picture, put it in an envelope, go to the post office, send it. It was a long, drawn-out process. But we were able to bring two beautiful leather-bound albums to the Rebbe. It was Chof Aleph Shvat, Friday, Tavshim Mentes. We gave the Rebbe said for an album. And clearly, the Rebbe spoke later by Farbrengen about the Mazara B'chaim, Afi B'chaim, and the fact that names given, children being named after the Rebbetzin was Moisef, and Yerchayis, and different things. It was clearly something that we felt very privileged to be able to do. I think there's something you want to show? Okay. A short little clip, but very meaningful and very poignant, very special. That the Rebbe said Atzlacha, the Rebbe appreciated that what was done, and clearly there were over 400 Kinderlach, I believe it was over 400 that were born that year that we knew of, that gave the name Chaim Mushka or a derivative of Chaim Mushka. Later, that album served as the pictures for the Sefer Kol Yimei Chayeha, which was printed later by Neshei Chabad. That was the beginning of that book, that Sefer. Just as far as the importance of naming a child after names in Beis Harav. In Tafshin Ches, one of my older sisters was born, Ches Adar Beis, and a telephone call came to my parents' house. My father didn't answer the phone, and the Rebbe said, Das Ret, and the Rebbe said his family name. And it was like, the Rebbe never called before. It was Tafshin Ches Taka, but the Rebbe never called. The Rebbe said, Ich will bet in a teva that your daughter should be named after my grandfather, Rabbi Tzimchana's grandmother, Rabbi Tzimchana's mother, Rachel. And of course, my father said 100%. He's very happy to be able to do that, and very taken that the Rebbe had chosen him to call and ask him to do that. And later there was a letter sent, I think it was Yud Beis, Adar Beis. The Rebbe writes, V'eshlach bazeh toidasi al sheniskabla hatzoasi, that he named the baby, he named the child Rachel. And the Rebbe goes on there to explain that Rachel is the begematria of Vayihi Oir and Yisnor Menacheshech, a whole long arichas and a beer on the name Rachel. So clearly, this was something by the Rebbe, giving a name was a very important thing. What do we learn from this? What do we take? We're out of Farbrengen, Chaim. If we don't take something from this story of the Rebbetzin, which was seemingly a very special event which happened, that the Rebbetzin, I think it was the only time the Rebbetzin went to visit a Moised. Every one of us is a Mikdash Mat. Every Yid, every Chassid, every Shliach. Shluchim have their own Batei Chabad, in addition to their own Mikdash Mat within themselves. And every once in a while, we need to reassess where we are and make ourselves ready for our superiors, our commander-in-chief, our generals to come visit and make sure our Mikdash Ma'at is the way it should be. Our Batei Chabad are the way they should be. We have to make sure and be ready that at any given time, there have been mentioned to different people in Yechidus about the Rebbe coming to find a place in a Beis Chabad. And clearly this is the Hira that we can learn, that just as the Rebbetzin came out as a surprise and went around and checked everything, that was Begashmias, certainly Beruchnias, we have the same idea that we have to be ready and able at any given moment. Those of us who are entrusted with Shlichusin, that the Rebbe gave us, and the Rebbe gave us the privilege of being Shluchim, that it's not just we do what we want when we want, but there's a achrayas, and there's something we have to live up to, and that at any given moment we have to know that the Meshaleach could come to us and say, I want to see what's going on. I want to go through your building. I want to see if everything is the way it should be. And clearly, I can speak for myself. We all have things we have to fix up. But the Hira is a beautiful Hira from this story. How the Rebbetzin was able to give over the things that she saw, to give over to the Rebbe. The Rebbe commented on the Grus. So there's always a checks and balances that we have as Shluchim. Sometimes we get carried away and we think that, the fact of the matter is we have this matana, we have this chus, but we also have the tremendous achrayas of being able and having to report and keep our Batei Chabad and our moistus the way the Rebbe wants them to be, and be able to be matzliach in all the things that the Rebbe expects of us, in growing our moistus and bringing more people closer to Torah mitzvahs, to all the things the Rebbe wants of us. L'chaim, may this time be a service for all of us to continue our Avodah in a greater way, in a greater measure.